All right, for the sake of time, we're going to go ahead and start. Our next speaker will be Rachel Kamen, and Rachel is with Waymo. Rachel lives in the Bay Area and has been up here for a couple days. We were kind of joking that the weather hasn't been quite Seattle weather until today. She gets to experience our Seattle weather. So Rachel is on the Waymo Public Affairs team. With years of leadership experience in both the public and private sectors, Rachel works to build impactful partnerships that create safer, more accessible, and equitable communities. Please welcome Rachel.
All right, good morning, everyone. Hope you can hear me okay. Thank you so much for having me here today, Kevin. This is a little bit of a curveball, I guess, compared to the previous presentations this morning. So I just want to set the tone. A great question I was asked just 3 minutes ago in the hallway is, do I need a driver's license to ride with Waymo? And the answer is no. Okay, so this is a safe, accessible, and discrimination-free mode of transportation for people of all preferences, abilities, etc. So Waymo's partnered with the Epilepsy Foundation at a national and local level for, my goodness, just shy of a decade at this point, and we've built a really robust partnership together, and it's just really wonderful to be here today to share more information, answer questions, and I will also talk more about Waymo arriving into Seattle and throughout Washington. Is the microphone going in and out a bit? No? Okay, great. All right, so I'm just going to start off with a little bit of the company's history. We've been around for over 16 years. So a lot of times I get questions like, oh, are you new? And the answer is, in the big picture, I suppose, but no, we've been around since 2009. We have a very simple mission at Waymo, and it's to be the world's most trusted driver. We are hyper-focused on safety and accessibility. So we're not making our vehicles. There's companies out there that make incredible vehicles. We are simply focused on creating safer and more accessible roads for everyone. We all have experienced, I'm sure, firsthand that our roads are not as safe as they can be or should be. Every 26 seconds, someone loses their life on our roads. That's well over 1 million people worldwide every year, and this is mostly due to human error. Beyond safety, transportation remains inaccessible to many, including people with disabilities and seniors and communities who are unable to drive. So just think of however you arrived here today. It was heavily raining. Did you see someone on their cell phone? Was someone speeding? Did you see any sort of illegal road maneuver? Human choice and error is a huge part of fatalities and dangerous situations on our roads. For example, speeding, distraction, drowsiness, driving drunk or drugged. Okay, when you get into a Waymo vehicle, your clean, empty vehicle is never drunk, drowsy, or distracted. Your vehicle is designed to follow all rules of the road, obey the speed limit, and your vehicle will never discriminate, right? When you get into that Waymo vehicle, it's safe and open for you, and you're welcome to come as you are and with whoever you're traveling with. People are often very surprised when they take their first Waymo ride. Why are we going so slow? This is interesting. And the answer is the Waymo vehicle's following the speed limit. So most humans take that as a recommendation or a suggestion, but when you follow the speed limit, you're actually going a lot slower than you're used to. And common sense, that reduces the risk of fatalities injuries, etc., when collisions and crashes do happen. Again, we were founded in 2009. We were originally the Google self-driving car project, so originally founded as a Google company. Over the last 16 plus years, we put our technology through the world's longest and toughest ongoing driving test. I used to include numbers in this slide, but I don't anymore because I'd be updating it for every single presentation each week. So our experience includes millions of miles on public roads, billions of miles in simulation, and we've driven in over 15 states across the US. If you put all of that together, that's over 1,000 years of human driving experience that benefits every single Waymo ride. So a little bit more about, we call the Waymo driver, that's the vehicle and the full Waymo experience. So currently, there are 4 levels of autonomous driving technology that exist. Level 5 is a goal that doesn't exist in the world quite yet. So levels 1 through 3 are called driver assist. So what that means is there needs to be a human with a driver's license behind the wheel. That human may or may not need to intervene over the course of the car ride, but by law, they need to be in the driver's seat. Driver assist levels 1 through 3. I'm not going to name any names. These are companies you might hear about in the news, but Waymo is fully autonomous. We operate at level 4, which is the highest level of autonomous driving technology that exists in the world right now. So as a Waymo passenger, again, you do not need a driver's license. You do not need to be in the driver's seat. In fact, there's one strong rule when you ride with Waymo is you cannot sit in the driver's seat because we want you to relax. Get in the habit of driving not being stressful, driving being safe, relaxing, and imagine this, a productive part of your day. Imagine if you could get from A to B and traffic isn't that big of a deal because you're getting work done, or you're catching up on phone calls with loved ones, or maybe even just close your eyes and take a little nap. So when you're with Waymo, you are a passenger, you're relaxing, and again, it's a level 4, fully autonomous experience. So this is what an aerial view of our vehicle looks like. Right now we're using our fleet across the country, our Jaguar I-Paces. They're fully electric crossover vehicles, plenty spacious for 4 passengers, and also has a good-sized trunk. The vehicle has LiDARs, radars, and cameras, which are what you're seeing as the blue, purple, and green dots around the vehicle. LiDAR is a remote sensing method that uses lasers to measure and map the surface of the Earth and other objects, and it focuses specifically on 3D imaging. Radar is radio detection and uses radio waves to detect and track vehicles. It works by transmitting radio waves and then actually listening for the echoes that bounce back from objects. And cameras are cameras that we are familiar with, but extremely high resolution, extremely high tech. So putting this sensory suite together of LiDARs, radars, and cameras, a Waymo vehicle can see up to 3 football fields away, 360 degrees, on the most perfect clear blue sky day to something like we have going on in between, through storms, hail, I live in San Francisco, the most extreme fog you have ever experienced. It does not matter for the Waymo driver. So imagine if as humans, we could see 360 degrees up to 3 football fields away. And in addition, the Waymo vehicle receives, intelligence at all points, finding out if there's a power outage, a protest, a parade, anything unique that will impact the route from getting you safely from A to B. We're really proud. We have a very robust, which I'll only give you a snapshot here, very robust safety record and safety webpage. It's waymo.com/safety. And this has been, of course, data that we've built over the course of our evolution as a company. This data you see here is based on 56 million miles driven by Waymo compared to the same distance in the same cities as a human driver. So 81% fewer airbag deployment crashes, 79% fewer injury-causing crashes, and 92% fewer crashes with injuries to pedestrians. So consistently, Waymo has proven to be safer than human drivers in all of these different metrics, and this data doesn't even keep in mind who is at fault during these collisions. And a lot of this is due to human choice and error. But again, 81, 79, 92, and on our safety page, there's a lot more data to back this up. But removing human choice and error creates safer roads. We're currently operating throughout San Francisco, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Austin, Texas, and Atlanta, Georgia. Coming soon, we're also going to be operating in Miami, DC, and Dallas, which is really exciting. So in these cities, you can, just like other ride-hailing platforms, you can, download the Waymo app. You put in your start destination, your end destination, anywhere in between. You can do multiple stops. And a Waymo vehicle, fully autonomous, clean, empty vehicle will show up to get you where you need to go. You're probably curious what we're doing in Seattle right now. So we just, as of September, brought some Waymo vehicles to Seattle. We've actually, over the years, worked closely with the city and the state to do some mapping, weather testing, actually extensive mapping and testing throughout the region. And we're back now and looking forward to launching our service when we can. There currently is not legislation or permits in place for autonomous driving technology. And so we're working in partnership, again, with the city and state, SDOT and so on, to work on kind of establishing that legislature and getting our permits to operate. So we're really, really excited to be here. You may have seen our vehicles already in Seattle. They're currently being driven by humans, mapping, testing. This gives us a lot of time, too, to connect with the community. We're really honored. I'll talk more about it. We work really, really closely with the community from a philanthropic and public education lens as well. But just getting people more familiar, asking questions, seeing the vehicles kind of out in the wild. And then when we are able to operate, it's important to just kind of have that awareness and connections to the community. So that's what we're up to right now. So a little bit about the Waymo experience once you're hailing a ride and in the vehicle. But again, you download the app, you let us know where you want to go, you hop in the vehicle, and you enjoy the ride. I'm going to show you shortly what it looks like on the inside of the vehicle, but it's a very user-friendly experience. The app also has built-in GPS, so you don't even have to necessarily be typing in exactly where you are. And if you've used other ride-hailing platforms before, the app experience is quite similar, very user-friendly and familiar. So here you're going to see a little bit of, this is the inside monitor of the Waymo vehicle. So there's essentially two screens in the vehicle, one in the front seat and one in the back seat. And it allows you to interact with your ride if you wish to. So you're able to see a map of your journey, of course, your estimated time of arrival. There's a few different viewpoints for that. You're able to play music, control the temperature. Anything that you need to do, you can do from these screens in the vehicle. And what's really awesome is that you can also, anything you can do on the screen in the vehicle, you can also do on your cell phone. And so the Waymo app has all of these features built in as well. And I'll talk more about this momentarily, but this is really important to make sure that your Waymo experience is accessible. So we want folks, for example, who may be blind or have low vision and use a screen reader. The app is screen reader accessible. If you use a larger font on your phone, all of that, we want you to be able to access Waymo through your phone. So you have the choice on how you navigate and control your ride. Something that I love to point out when we're looking at the in-car screen, and same as in the Waymo app in your phone, at any point, you can call rider support, which is a human support center. So you just hit one button. It's always on the bottom right of the screen or in the app, and you're able to connect with a rider support agent if you have any questions, want some information, whatever it may be, and the response time is incredibly fast. And then on the left side of the screen, it'll say pull over. So again, you're in control of your ride. If at any point you want to pull over, you want to stretch, you want to get out and end your ride, whatever it may be, you can pull over at any point. So again, safety and accessibility. I think these are the two words I say the most in my life at this point. Accessibility. So we are focused on mobility for everyone. That's a big statement. But again, it's about choice. It's about having options. It's being able to decide how you can most safely and accessibly navigate your ride. So improving mobility is at the core of absolutely everything that we do. And so much of this truly comes from incredible partnerships that we've been able to form over the years with nonprofits and disability advocacy orgs, much like the Epilepsy Foundation, who have really helped to join us, have joined our community, and have always had a seat at the table to be a part of these conversations. So something that I really, I'm really proud of and like to highlight is we don't, as a company, it's working with disability advocates and community members at large. It's not an afterthought. It's not like, hey, we created this, what do you think? It's about having ongoing conversations, building community, and making sure the folks who this technology will impact most are part of the conversation. We even have a Waymo accessibility network, which brings together disability advocates and community members from across the country who have a wealth of knowledge, experience, and communities to connect to the technology. And we meet throughout the year to test, share information, share best practices, seek feedback, all of that good stuff. So this is what the accessibility page looks like in the Waymo app. So you have a variety of options that you can toggle on or off. I want to highlight that we used to have a longer list, if you're looking at it, of accessibility features, but what we realized over the years, a lot of that was just part of universal design, right? We realized what something started as an accessibility feature truly just meant a safer and more pleasant experience for all riders, and that's what we're really focused on, is just universal design. And currently our featured accessibility features include assistive in-car audio. So for riders who would prefer to have their ride narrated to them, which includes major road turns, yielding to a pedestrian, yielding to an emergency vehicle, updates on your ETA, and so on. Also the option to minimize walking time, which may seem common sense, but especially in urban settings, getting as close to the door of your destination as possible and staying on the same side of the road to avoid having to cross the road could mean a slightly longer journey, right? You might have to take a one-way or go around a block a couple times to get to the right side of the road. So that's an option for folks who just don't want to walk, don't want to take the risk of potentially crossing the road, the option to minimize walking time. These are some more of the built-in accessibility features. Again, the app is screen reader accessible. And we also have adaptive app navigation, which is essentially very high-tech yet very user-friendly, and that's what you're seeing on the right-hand side here. Essentially wayfinding tools to help folks, whether visually or through audio, access their vehicle at the start of the ride and their destination at the end of the ride. So it uses very kind of bite-sized, user-friendly descriptions. So 30 feet on your right, and it also includes haptic updates through vibrations to let you know when you're getting closer or further away from your destination. The vehicles also have, if you choose, you can have the vehicle honk or play a melody to help you locate it, if that's helpful. The melody is a little bit lovelier and the honk is louder. So that's why we give you a couple choices there. And then also the dome, which we'll see more video that shows lots of Waymo images, but there's a dome on the top of the vehicle, which will highlight your initials or whatever two letters you want to be yours, and you choose the color as well. So we want to give riders a variety of ways to know where their car is and navigate their ride. So a little bit about how Waymo works with the community. Again, currently we're operating in 5 cities across the country, many more to come in 2026. We think really thoroughly and thoughtfully about how to partner with the community. So we are active volunteers in the cities where our vehicles are on the road. We do a lot of event sponsorships and philanthropic support for communities. We use our vehicles to do deliveries, helping nonprofits get things where they need to go. We all know transportation is quite costly. There are a lot of budget cuts that are going on right now that include transportation, and something as simple as, just a couple months ago, back to school, helping local communities, nonprofits get school supplies to learning centers and schools. Every Wednesday in San Francisco, we use vehicles to help deliver groceries through a nonprofit that's located in the Castro district, help them get groceries and do friendly wellness checks on homebound seniors. So there's a lot you can do when you have, access to transportation. And then we also have rider programs where we work with organizations like the Epilepsy Foundation to make sure that we're offering, free and subsidized rides where and when we can, that we're syncing with local benefits and so on, to make sure that those who actually will benefit most from this technology have access to it. And access is obviously the most important piece, but also the education around it, right? Not just being like, here's a promo code or here's a free ride, but making sure we're partnering with organizations that serve community members, that we're working with the organizations, whether it's training the staff or doing something like this, a presentation for community members. And as far as, what organizations we're working with, in all the cities we operate, we're so lucky. There are thousands of incredible nonprofit and disability advocacy organizations, and needless to say, we cannot work with every single one of them. So what we're really doing is we're looking for mission alignment. We want to look at organizations that are helping people get safely where they need to go who live with disabilities and various medical conditions that don't allow them to drive. We're working with organizations that are focused on road safety, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, bicycle clubs, locally, Cascade Bicycle Club, and so on. And so really, really thinking thoughtfully about how we can be invested in the community and building reciprocal partnerships that benefit community members and overall just create safer roads for everyone. Here in Seattle, we're so proud to partner with these local organizations. So again, probably a lot of names that you recognize. Epilepsy Foundation, of course, on the list. But again, just focusing on building these relationships, getting to know each other, and thoughtfully collaborating. On that note, I am going to play a video that is starting right now.
Community shapes the future and fuels innovation.
People with disabilities are all around you. We're all, if we live long enough, going to come to some part of our life where we're not, quote, independent.
A really significant challenge of being blind is the issue of transportation, because I can't drive. I need to rely on others for that basic requirement of life.
I have a spinal cord injury. I was injured 12 years ago, so I am now a wheelchair user.
Because I have cerebral palsy, I know that some things were going to be harder for me.
退休老人，今年80岁。
I lost my sight when I was 25 years old. Giving up driving was probably one of the hardest things that I had to do.
People with epilepsy are told no a lot. No, you can't go to that party. No, you can't be in the sun too long. No, you can't drive. They lose a lot of independence if they're not under control with their seizures.
It almost eats away at my sense of pride of wanting to be self-sufficient.
The issues of traffic violence is arguably a public health crisis in the U.S. We are numb as a society to the amount of people who are killed and seriously injured every year.
We lost our daughter, Sabrina, on December 23rd, 2014. She was 6 months pregnant.
There was a wrong-way driver. We were told that she had morphine in her system.
We're fully desensitized to traffic fatalities. Someone being hit and killed or being seriously injured is just normal. Bringing those voices together is so important to get people to understand this is not normal.
We're always going to be working on improving the safety of roadways, but autonomous vehicle technology promises to save a lot of lives because it can remove a lot of human risk out of the driving equation.
When you think about transportation, it's just a part of everyday life that folks who aren't challenged by it kind of take it for granted. Waymo is a game changer, and autonomous vehicles are a game changer.
When it comes to emerging technologies, there will always be those who, instead of embracing progress, choose to dig their heels in and stick their heads in the sand, as if that can or will stop progress.
As a person who is blind, I stand before you to share my excitement about the incredible benefits of autonomous vehicles that bring to our lives in San Francisco.
We're very much in favor of the Commission granting these 2 permits. We are here in our genuine interest in seeing this technology benefit the blindness community.
这样看来，这地球是安全的。对，它用电脑控制的，它就比你人控制的其实，因为你人有的时候反应还没有那么快。
对。A partnership with Waymo allows us to think beyond the solutions we've tried in the past. How can we rethink how we meet people's needs and how we solve a transportation issue?
Because of the tools and the technologies that Waymo is developing, we are so much closer to a future of no more victims of drunk driving.
Feeling safe is extremely important. The psychological aspect of safety. I could tell defensive driving principles were embedded into the code.
We appreciate the biggest picture here, which is health and safety. We're all working towards the same goal, to change behavior around drowsy driving.
Waymo's doing an amazing job at making sure that they understand our needs at the development phase.
I think it's really powerful that Waymo has allowed us to kind of look under the hood as they're developing this new technology.
Waymo in particular understands and values the fact that we have something to contribute and Waymo has something to contribute, and that makes it a true partnership.
I love finding a skeptic, because I'm like, oh, you don't like those autonomous cars? Well, let me tell you something. If every road was filled with Waymo cars, we would be in a safer position as pedestrians, as cyclists.
If I'm a cyclist up there, this is what I want. This is exactly what people should do when they see cyclists.
Maybe I'll call Waymo to take me to therapy.
And then what do I do?
We can pick you up and go get ice cream.
Pick me up too?
Yeah.
One of the biggest challenges that we always faced with our home delivery grocery program was of reliable transportation for our deliveries all over town. And Waymo was really able to step in and fill that need for us.
Everything that has been delivered today through Waymo's technology allows us to be able to provide people essential items, hygiene supplies. Folks who are facing food insecurity are able to have shelf-stable items that they can take with them.
You can open a lot of doors, not just practically, not just, oh, let me go shopping, but also emotionally. Also like, okay, I'm not dependent, I'm not reliant, I'm not a burden on somebody else. I'm my own person, I'm doing my own thing.
The chance to have autonomy in vehicles and everywhere else is a means to get us to where we want to go, which is being part of the world. It's not just about going to a place. It's about having possession of your own life.
We can't let fear drive us, but we can let an autonomous car drive us.
It's a new sense of liberation. That's why it's so special. It's about freedom.
Together, we can transform the future of mobility.
Thank you for watching that. And I have just a few more slides. I always like to highlight again, part of accessibility is thinking of the variety of language spoken in any community. So the Waymo app matches the language that your phone's operating system is set in. So you don't have to toggle between languages. So currently, Waymo is available in English, Spanish, and Chinese, and we're working on adding new languages all the time. So that's a really great feature. It helps create comfort, safety, and that'll be the screens in the vehicle will be in the language of your choice, English, Spanish, or Chinese, and as well as the Waymo app. A popular question I often get is, well, how do first responders, interact with autonomous vehicles? And so we have a very robust first responder team at Waymo, mostly made up of retired EMTs, police officers, firefighters, highway patrol, et cetera. And we actually work very, very closely with first responders, in all the cities where we operate. We actually go in and provide trainings in, a firehouse, in different offices in the departments. And we do this at the times that work for community members, so it's pretty bizarre hours for these trainings. But we partner closely. We provide an online resource guide, in-person training, and then also every vehicle has on it instructions of how to interact with the Waymo vehicle if no one's in it. And we're really proud of these partnerships. To be frank, they took years and years to build. But again, focusing on community, safety, accessibility, it takes everyone on board to create safer roads and more transportation options for the community. So we're really proud of these partnerships and the work that we've been able to do at a local and also national level. That is the end of my presentation. I put my email up there. If anyone has any questions, very open to keeping in touch. Kevin and I are always in touch as well, but if you want to jot my email down, and happy to answer any questions that anyone has. Oh, someone just started on the mic right there.
Hi. Thank you for the talk. It was great. Great to hear that as someone with epilepsy. But also in an epilepsy conference, I would like to ask, a benefit of having a person in the car is that if something happens to us and we lose consciousness, then someone can at least call 911. Like, they may not know what to do, but they can call 911. With these vehicles, there's no one in the car. Do they have any camera, tracking if the user is aware of, if something is happening to the user?
Yes, that's an excellent question. So just to repeat, what happens if there's a medical emergency while someone is in a Waymo vehicle, specifically riding solo in a Waymo vehicle? And so there's multiple kind of angles to that question. So one, you can ride with up to 3 passengers with you, so each vehicle can accommodate 4 people. So there's a much longer answer, but just we encourage folks that if, bring a friend with you, bring a caregiver with you if that makes the most sense for you. If you are riding solo and you experience a medical emergency, you are able to call 911 from the screen I showed you. So it's available when you hit rider support. You have the option to dial 911 directly or to call rider support, and that same is available on your phone. We want you to have multiple options because it may be much easier to tap that screen that's right in front of you than to find your phone, log in, and do so. That's assuming, though, of course, that you are able and well enough to call 911 or call rider support. So I just want to highlight that's always there. If there is a worst case scenario and you're riding by yourself and you become unable to interact, unable to call 911, there are a variety of safety features that are built in to detect signs of distress or danger. High level, these include a lack of movement for a prolonged period of time, extreme movement, of course, very relevant for today, or any audible cries for distress. There are 2 cameras in the vehicle, front and back. Most of the time, most rides are quite boring, to be honest, and they're just there should a medical emergency come up, should something a laptop get left in a vehicle, a variety of use cases. And so also, if there is an alert, that there is a medical situation in the vehicle, someone is instantaneously able to look into the vehicle and check on your safety and wellness. Part of, as well, medical scenarios that happen in vehicles, that's also part of our first responder trainings as well, of course, is how do you get into the vehicle, what if you do if a passenger is solo, and so on. So that's kind of multiple tiers that are in there to ensure a safe experience for riders, including passengers who live with seizure disorders, like epilepsy.
Thank you again very much. I'm curious, and perhaps I missed it, but what is the reach of Waymo and into rural communities, and what are the plans for going outside the city?
Yeah, at this time, we are in mostly urban cities. So San Francisco, Phoenix, LA, Austin, Atlanta, Miami, DC, et cetera, coming soon. So at this time, we're focusing mostly on cities, but at this point, we also have like a 10+ year rollout plan. And we do, as we continue to grow, we do plan to offer our services in, diversified settings. We also, this doesn't necessarily fit the mold for, for extremely rural cities and towns. We also work really, really closely with, in all the cities and states where we operate, the Department of Transportation, MTAs, et cetera. And we focus a lot on first and last mile transportation as well. So encouraging folks, if it makes sense, take the train, take the bus, take light rail, whatever. Again, that doesn't apply to, more rural settings. And then offering Waymo as first and last mile, a way to get directly where you need to go. If you have mobility challenges, whatever your situation, it's dark out, you don't feel safe walking alone, to rely on Waymo for those, first and last mile scenarios. It's going to be an exciting year plus ahead, and we're, as far as where we operate, we're going to be growing quite rapidly, and part of that too, again, is going to be here in Seattle in due time. Yes.
Thank you for this presentation. It was great. There was a slide early on in the presentation that spoke to 5 different stages of autonomous driving, and this one was noted to be at 4. So what is 5, and what does that look like?
So 5 doesn't exist. It is very, it's that more futuristic technology that you kind of think of where it's multimodal. So like water, air, land. Kind of any scenario, whereas level 4 is specific to land driving. I get asked questions a lot about the Jetsons, kind of more on that level.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
I can, yeah.
Good. Thank you again. Exciting to have this coming to town eventually. Even I can imagine there's still some skeptics about, autonomous driving and technology, taking over that part of our lives, but I think it's inevitable and probably safer in the long run. My understanding is that you're obviously right now still in the works of, working with legislation to make this even, feasible or permittable here in the Seattle area. But thinking about our epilepsy community, and then, obviously having that option in the first place is one thing, affordability is another, right? I know that there's been partnerships with other ride-sharing companies to try to, provide access for our patients to these opportunities. Is there, you collaborating with the Epilepsy Foundation, is there some similar kind of support program that Waymo is sponsoring or thinking about? Or?
Yeah, great question. So it's more specific to market, each city and state and so on. But yes, we do have free ride and subsidized rider programs, working with specifically individual organizations and disability advocacy organizations that support people who are unable to drive, people who should not drive, or people who do not feel safe on other modes of transportation. We're also in development of forming various partnerships with hospitals, medical providers, and also benefits to be able to make it a more streamlined process. A lot of this, though, is in the works. And specific for Seattle, I mean, we hope it's as soon as possible, but it's not going to be tomorrow. So I'd be excited maybe to come back next year and share the updates on this, but it's very much top of mind because, I think you said this exactly, affordability is accessibility, right? And ride hailing can be a luxury. And so we're really thinking thinking of innovative ways to make the service not just accessible by way of, verbose audio cues and screen reader accessibility, but accessible because community members can afford that, whether it be a lower cost or no cost scenario. But it's exciting, and a lot of things take time, and we're proud, in the interim, as we continue to scale, to have these partnerships where we really can provide free and subsidized rides for, it doesn't scale across the country the way we're doing it, but to be able to really focus with different orgs and be like, who in the community is struggling right now, who is unable to get to medical appointments, who's living in isolation, who is, not able to hold down steady employment because they just don't have a way to get there, et cetera, and then making sure that we are able to help those community members get to and from these essential services and just parts of daily life, like being able to go to a birthday party or go to a therapy appointment in person. That's a big one too, kind of. It's been a while, but pivoting out of COVID, right, where mental health support moved to where everything moved to virtual, but we have a lot of clinicians reaching out that patients are wanting to come back to have a session in person, gain that valuable in-person interaction, but don't have a safe way to get to it from. Just a few examples, but great question, and more to come.
I noticed that there was a wheelchair user in the video. Do you guys have adaptive vehicles?
Yes and no. So there currently is not an autonomous wheelchair accessible vehicle that exists. And there are some companies who are working on that. Obviously, it's something that needs to be very thoughtfully created. So what Waymo's doing in the interim, it's important to have paratransit, a wheelchair accessible vehicle service available. So in each of our cities, we work with a local paratransit provider and offer a human-driven wheelchair accessible vehicle service to the community. It's important for us to be able to offer that. It also allows us to really get feedback, collect data, so that way when there is an autonomous wheelchair accessible vehicle available, we are ahead of the game, we're ready to go. What's neat about our wheelchair accessible vehicle service is that it's one of the few modes of paratransit that's on demand, meaning you can just go into the app and request a wheelchair accessible vehicle to come pick you up, where typically there is, in 48 hours I would like to go to the grocery store, and planning that and knowing roughly what time you're going to come home from the grocery store, from a doctor's appointment, whereas with Waymo's wheelchair accessible vehicle service, it's just whatever the wait time is, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, you hail it, it comes and gets you, you go where you need to go, and you can rehail when you're ready to come back. And we've really learned a lot over the years of having our wheelchair accessible vehicle service, and there's still not anything tangible or immediate as far as an autonomous wheelchair accessible vehicle.
Anyone else? Okay, I feel like a Waymo spokesperson because I was like, they had a reception for a bunch of city leaders, and I was there and kind of shared a little bit about my story. But one thing I shared with them is that besides Ben and Allison, has anyone else ridden in a vehicle? You did? Yeah, I rode in one in San Francisco, and I shared that I never felt unsafe in the car. And I was with this was a couple years ago, so he was 10. I was with my 10-year-old son. And it became like our default transportation throughout the time we were there, much to probably the chagrin of the Uber and Lyft drivers. But he was totally into it. He's like, can we do that again? Like it was a Disneyland drive or something. But it was so cool because we never, like I said, we never felt unsafe. If anything, we felt more safer, being in it. I see Ben and Allison are kind of shaking their heads, but it's fascinating. Also, be prepared to feel like a celebrity because you look out the window and everybody is filming it. They have their phones out filming this self-driving car, but really cool experience.